plan for today, an insanely early lift. This is crazy. It's 11:20 and not not 11:20 p.m. in some kind of weird apocalyptic like night sun kind of situation. Um, Early ass cardio and then a reasonably timed lift. So only one pre-workout meal, and that ended up being a bagel, buttered with 10 grams worth of fat of butter, as well as 50 grams of protein of egg whites, salt and pepper style, reasonably plain. So it was really just a classic breakfast for breakfast, which I know is kind of, it's, there's not really much point in saying that sort of twice, but I really do feel like there's this misconception, man. It's like you can't just eat regular fucking food. You know, the out of everything, calorie wise and planning and protein, simple portion control has got to be the most valuable fucking skill that you can get as a lifter, and I mean just as a dude. Everybody's got to eat. You know, everybody's got to get a certain amount of calories in, and your body is going to run off of what you end up eating. So it's at least worth thinking about. And in my case, that's not so much of like a, you know, trying to optimize my like baseline markers or whatever. You know, it's eating for the purpose of the muscular gains that I'll be able to get from a certain bulking kind of diet, and then muscle maintenance while I get leaner from a calorie deficit, right? But it's, you know, it's serving a very specific purpose for me. And if you can manipulate your calorie intake and not just purely eat shit because you're hungry for it. I'm well, at least lifting wise, I can promise you that is going to improve your performance. But with legs, nothing too crazy. Hamstrings first, laying curls, seated curls, RDLs, presumably on the Smith machine, and then quads will just be whatever kind of feels right. I'm trying not to overdo it with the weight on quads simply because in a deficit, I it's like I can hit my quads too hard. And what I mean by that is like if I hit them as hard as I fucking possibly can, even just a regular like 7 total set workout for them, then I end up overdoing it, and I'm like putting extra stress on my knees and my adductors, and just like there's no point to like a 14 plate set of leg press, even if I could do it fine, just because it's going to end up being so damaging and like stressful that by the time I come back to do legs the next day, or at least the next planned leg day, I can't even do quads. At least not in the same fucking way as before. You know? So that's where I don't mind taking quads a little bit easier. Right? I still want to hit them as hard as I can, but I have to take into consideration that recovery component as well. But hamstrings, I can pretty much thrash as hard as I want, and I'll be back for hamstrings again next leg day, pretty much for sure. Now, that's not to say I'm trying to completely wreck them or pull anything, but I do want to stimulate them as much as fucking possible. So I think that pretty much clears up what's about to go down. How about we stop just yapping about it and get straight to business? All right, let's not be too crazy. Start with just a moderate second-ish hold at the top. Swings kind of laying curls. I've been starting with a lot of seated curls, so even though it is only a minor change, it is still changing it up. So let's one notch heavier actually. Okay. One more just like that. Minimum. Maybe 2. So I'm hoping that the audio didn't cut out for the last couple of sets. I think it didn't, but either way, whatever. Doesn't change the workout. So leg extensions, I want to ease into it this time. Not just go fucking crazy, full stack single leg. That's nuts. I'm talking 115, so the equivalent of 230 double leg. And then I want to do 5 reps on one side, 5 on the other. Very like thoughtfully done. Like I'm not just doing 5 like that. Like I want a full squeeze, an extra hard contraction, and then a reasonably slow negative on these. Because this is not only serving as like working set number 1, but it's also kind of a primer. So before I jump on anything else, I'm gonna feel kind of extra warm and ready for it. But let's go nuts here with reasonably lightweight, and then just move ahead from there. Yeah. 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 Okay. All right. Let's go a little heavier for the next one. That is a fucking sweet start. Yeah. All right, let's pick the same weight, but for this set, let's make them a little nastier. No. Okay. All right. Let's do some machine leg press next. Not too heavy either. This is the stack loaded one, not the plate loaded one. Okay, so not the heaviest set ever, but it will be a good one. One thing I really like about this machine, something about the seat angle. I can still get a ton of quad activation, like zilch for glutes. But let's just grab the stack here. And this is going to be a bit more of a lengthy kind of set. This isn't like a 6 reps and 8 reps and then that's failure. Like I'm going to be in about maybe the 15-ish range for sure. And I'm really trying to like get pretty deep to the point where, especially with my legs this pumped, I have to kind of like pull the seat into the stretch position. But let's just go nuts here. Where do I put this? Good. Oh my God, okay. Whoa. Let's go back to leg extensions, goodness. Like that wasn't a bad set, but I can kind of feel it in my upper right quad, like right next to where it ties into my hips. And since the leg extensions do not do that, let's just go burn out a few more of those. And then that'll be good. Oh my God, okay. Holy crap. Whew. That's good. A little heavier hamstring day followed by a slightly lighter squeezing quad day. Yeah, I'm good with that. Let's go find some lighting. Oh God. All right. So, certainly not the craziest lift ever, but pump-wise, guess what, guys? I don't think I'm going to be very disappointed. Now, of course, there's no way to know that until we actually check it out. But simply based on like the feeling alone, let's just say there's some blood flow. There's been some blood flow that has occurred. So let's just see to what actual extent. Now, hamstrings got hit very well. Quads, I just had to pump the brakes on just a touch. Just a touch. But even with being a little bit less intense than normal, they still appear to have reached a reasonably fucking pumped state. Woo. Okay. So right here, I'm trying to like smush my hamstring up against itself to make it look extra big and fucking round. And the leaner you get, the more pronounced that sort of thing is going to become. But even fully pumped, a reasonable amount of separation, that little bit of quad feathering, which was starting to be revealed a couple of lifts ago with unpumped quads, has now disappeared. And that's just the nature of having a fucking quad pump, man. Is you get, I mean, you're basically just swelled up. You know, you're not so defined and separated. But even so, man, there's like a very pinchable layer of fat here. And once that is closer to like, you know, forearm level leanness, because I mean, my forearms, I can see all sorts of little like individual fibers and stuff. And I attribute a lot of this backside of the forearm gains to doing those reverse forearm curls, even just with like 10-pound dumbbells. But yeah, once my legs start to get as lean as my arms are, where I can see like some arm veins and some separation and everything else, then I'll really be in for a fucking treat. But plan for the rest of the day, clean up the house basically, eat my meals, don't exceed my calorie deficit, then just go from there. As long as those three things are met, then I can go to sleep knowing I'm on track towards the things I want to make fucking happen. But I think that's all I got. Let's get out of here, man. Back to the car. All right. Yeah, good lift. Basically succeeded in the fucking goal I wanted to achieve. Pump my quads up, activate them, right? Make sure they don't shrink down over the course of this dieting phase, which of course, I mean, I don't think they're gonna. At least not to a seriously noticeable degree. And now just, what the fuck am I supposed to do? You know, this feels like that clip of, this reminds me of an old Mike Mentzer quote from one of his, either a lecture or some kind of something. I mean, he's got all sorts of archives of all his talks and things, but he basically says, or one of his clients are talking to him, and one of the clients goes, well, we only worked out for 20 minutes? What the hell am I supposed to do for the rest of the day? Shouldn't this take longer? You know, and Mike's fucking, he's like baffled. He's like, what are you talking about? You don't know what to do with the rest of your day. Whatever the hell you want, man. He's like, you could start studying. You could start looking into whatever, like art. And it's like, to the lifter, that's, oh goodness. You got to be a little more multifaceted than just the workout for sure. But no. I'll find something. But good lift. Much better on the hamstring side of things. Yeah, I'm starting to feel a little bit as though I have self-sabotaged a touch from my last leg days when I was doing those extra heavy leg press. Obviously, it feels cool to do, but I'm paying the price now. My quads are so sore. And not sore in like a tired way, sore in like kind of a tender sort of way, which is not what I want at all. That's the complete opposite of what I want my stimulation from these lifts to be. You know, like I want pumps, I want fatigue, I want tired, and I want recoverable as well. So if the if the meal, or no, what was I about to say? So if the training is pushing it beyond recovery, at least within the scheme of like a working out twice a week situation, then simply doing something fucking wrong. So try to hold me to it. Don't let me go too crazy on quads over these next coming months. Like, get a pump, go pretty hard, but don't go too hard. Right? Don't go too hard to the point of injury. Right? That would suck, huh? I don't even want to think about it. Knock on the maybe fake wood of the Camry medium. But meal wise, yeah, I've been sticking to the gruel, man. I've been sticking to the gruel, and it's been working. And what I mean by that is just like mixing a base carb, like, be it rice or actually, yeah, shit, mainly rice. For breakfast or something. Sometimes I'll get the like a bagel or something, and the like oatmeal. I'm not going to mix the oatmeal with like ground beef, but with most of the regular kind of meals, like past breakfast into dinner, it's just rice with some kind of protein mixed in, heated, and then what was I about to say? With some kind of sauce or some fat-free cheese mixed in. Goodness, and it works because I can have like a 600 calorie bowl, which is about 25% of my caloric intake. So that means I get to eat 4 of those throughout the day, of 50 grams of rice or 50 grams of carbs worth of rice, 50 grams of protein, maybe more like 60-ish. Sometimes I snack on some proteins though. I've got like some beef sticks in the fridge, or I might just scoop out some ground beef out of the Tupperware and have that contribute towards my daily protein intake. But 50 grams of carbs, 50 of protein-ish, maybe 20, 15 or so of fats when I add the like the sauce or whatever cooking oil was involved or anything like that, and then just kind of mix the whole thing up together. You got a pretty filling meal, and it's not particularly exciting. I mean, it's very it's very much akin to like eating like a dog. Same shit all the time. But that's just the point, man. Right? That's what makes this deficit a little bit easier to stick to. So it's a give and take. The give is I get a filling meal that tastes reasonably good, for me at least. Your results may vary depending on your cooking skills and your seasoning and whatever. But the take is it's pretty plain. It's not insanely exciting. So there is definitely some benefit to the phrase when these guys are like, "Well, dude, I'm not eating for enjoyment, bro. I'm eating for fuel. I'm eating for fuel. I don't care how it tastes." That sort of thing. So with everything, usually it's not a one side or the other type argument. It's kind of it's usually a gradient. Somewhere in between is where that right answer is. So if you actually want to stick to a calorie deficit, then you can have some food that tastes pretty good. You can't have that much of it, so you got to be a little tougher with your tracking. And also, if you what was it? Wait. So yeah, so you can have food that's kind of good tasting if you track your calories, you make sure you don't overshoot, you don't go crazy with it. But sometimes you do have to be a bit stern with yourself and say, okay, man, shit, it's 3 o'clock. I've already eaten 1,500 calories today. I only get 2,200 for my daily allotment. If I want to keep losing a pound of body fat a week or so, then crap, I better not slam those remaining 700 calories in 4 seconds so that I can actually have some food to eat before I go to bed. Because for me at least, my number one goal with my deficit on a day-by-day basis, obviously it's to stay in my deficit, but that's not an answer, right? That's just obvious. So what I'm trying to do to make that goal more achievable is to leave some calories for later, right? I want to have at least 1,000 calories or so left to be split between my last 2 meals or last big meal of the night if I feel like a bigger one. Because for me, to go to bed hungry just doesn't fucking work, right? I might sit and turn, or maybe if I'm a little more restless and kind of, letting myself get the better of me, or letting my phone get the better of me, and sitting here scrolling, the likelihood that I'm just going to stay awake extra long thinking about food a little bit, just not even like oh man, I gotta get some crumble, I gotta get Like, I'm not even talking like totally fiending for it, but if I'm just thinking about it in the back of my mind and I can feel that I'm hungry and I'm still awake, the likelihood that I'm just going to get up and go to the kitchen and grab some kind of something, it increases. It simply increases. There's no way to get around it. So if I can be a bit more responsible during the day with my calorie intake, then come nighttime, come 9 o'clock at night, if I've got 1,000 calories left, there is basically 100% chance that I'm going to stick to my deficit without blowing over, because I can make that 1,000 calorie stretch. And depending on what food I eat, that could be a very filling meal. And then I get to go to bed, sometimes with like a really full stomach. Like if I've got a full 1,000 calories left and I make a big old bowl of like rice, ground beef, some low sugar barbecue sauce, some fat free cheese melted in, and then maybe even do a couple of low carb, like keto bread buns on the side, and eat it like a sloppy Joe, that can be an insanely filling fucking meal. So that's what I'm aiming for. And that's just, that's not a, I do think that that's a good approach for anybody. Like it makes sense to me, but maybe it only makes sense to me, right? Like for me, that approach works pretty well, but maybe you're going to do better if you eat like evenly sized meals, very evenly dispersed throughout the day. I don't mind 3 meals a day. Like I don't mind a reasonably big, 800 calorie pre-workout meal, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours before I lift, a similarly sized post-workout meal, and then like a big meal at night. Like that's totally fine for me. Is that perfectly optimal instead of eating 6 smaller meals at 2 hour intervals? I don't think the difference is insanely huge. So, for me, that works. But if for you, if you can't go 2 hours without eating something, having some kind of plate, then you might want to start eating more food, but not more calories. So what I mean by that is make use of some vegetables, man. Make use of the fluff. I can have a big ass bowl of like a pre-chopped like Caesar salad or like a mixed green salad or something. And I've definitely thrown. I'm not so deep in the deficit yet that I'm doing it, but this is a pretty good trick I like doing, because I'll take a full bag, like I don't know how many servings. It's just lettuce and like it's really just water and like some fiber. So there's not much caloric value apart from like some micronutrients. But I'll have a full bag of that, mix together some kind of fat-free dressing, and then, if I've got a 50-gram protein bowl of ground beef with a little bit of fat-free cheese, then I'll eat that whole salad first, maybe adding up to like 20 grams of carbs total, maybe, usually like 15. And then I've already got a ton of stuff in my stomach, which is giving my body the cue of saying, okay, you got a lot of food in here, man. You're getting close to full. And then when I finish that half pound of ground beef or turkey or whatever, then I really feel like I've had a full stomach. And I can go about whatever the hell else I want to do without feeling like I got to come back to the kitchen and get more. So it's not only a question of like making sure that these meals are enjoyable enough where you're not just going crazy for sweets on a meal by meal basis, but also so that you're full enough for long enough where you don't feel like you have to come to the kitchen 30 minutes later and start grabbing some croutons or start grabbing some Cheez-Its or some goldfish or whatever kind of like random snack you've got lying around. Because those are the hot ticket items which love to creep into your diet and add calories. They're sneaky, you know. You wouldn't think that one little handful of goldfish would screw you over. And maybe you're right. One small handful might be like 10 grams of carbs, or 12, maybe 15 or something, like 70 calories. 70 calories is probably within the realm of variability of your daily intake anyway, because a lot of these nutrition labels aren't even like 100% accurate. There is a little bit of like, up and down with some of it. But, sure, one handful might not mess with you. What happens is throughout the day, you don't even think about it, and you've hit 5 handfuls, and some of those handfuls turn into 2 handfuls. And then maybe you didn't even just do one, you reached around, you were snacking around in the cupboard, right? Even though you might seem like you're in a safe place, nobody can see you doing it. It's just you and the snacks, guess what? It's got repercussions. And all those little handfuls add up potentially to like 500 or 600 calories easily. And then, you might think you're in a deficit and you tracked everything else, but it's just those little things that you didn't track which are now screwing you over. So that's why I can't help but highlight the necessity of what may feel like a bit of a OCD style approach with the calorie tracking, because all of these calories really do add up. And there's no way to get around it except for trying to count them all. So that's not to say that you can't have random snacks like that. If I'm coming home from the lift, or if I just finished a workout and the vending machine has like, some random protein bar, I might say, I'm kind of hungry. I like how that protein bar tastes. It's sort of like a wafer cookie with some chocolate coatings. Okay, I like that. God dang it, I want it. Pay the $1.50 for it, like double price of if you got it from the store. And then I flip it over, read the nutrition label. Okay, 12 grams of fat, 15 grams of carbs, 10 grams of protein. Boom. And that just adds into my, overall total for the day. Now, that's not to say that I want to eat my entire, daily calories from that kind of food. I'm really trying to maximize more plain foods, rice and like ground beef, like basically just one ingredient, things like that. Just makes me feel more full, doesn't thrash my digestion. Like, I think my gut biome has definitely improved in health from not only just eating less food, but also eating much more plain and simple foods. Like, my ratio of treats to regular shit is like 90-10 right now. Like, I feel pretty good. My blood sugar's not all over the place. But if I'm thinking to myself, I want a couple scoops of Ben & Jerry's, I want to have them. Take the tub out, put it onto your food scale, zero it, read out, okay, one serving is 200 calories, and that's 46 grams. Okay, so if I have 26 grams, or no, if I have 21 grams of ice cream, one big scoop, okay, I weighed it, put the ice cream back in the tub, track the macros. You could still completely be on track for your fat loss goals, man. It's not necessarily a question of like, okay, you can never eat anything that makes you feel good ever. And I think that's kind of a stigma that dieting gets, unfortunately, just because, most people who are really into dieting and working out are very like meatheadish about it. Because, there definitely is a value to kind of a sort of simplistic, brutal approach. Like, stick to this plan, stick to it consistently, you get the results from it. But it doesn't have to be so torturous. There's a lot of ways to skin that cat of dieting. So I think that's all I got, man. I could probably go on for freaking hours about the calorie counting. I should see if I could do a TED talk about it. That'd be really funny. But legs pumped. I'll definitely feel them tomorrow, especially on those leg extensions. I was really feeling the sort of teardroppy kind of head of my quads. The quadricep. I don't know all the names of the insertions, but the teardrop I was really squeezing at the top of those leg extensions. I bet I'm gonna feel that tomorrow too, especially during the 35 minutes of cardio on the bike. But that's all I got. I got chest tomorrow, which I'm already excited for, and then I've got back the next day, which is getting me going. Then I got arms the next day, and then legs, and then chest, and then back, and then arms, and the loop continues. The loop continues to infinity. So I will see you tomorrow for some hopefully crazy chest action.